Hi everybody, it's Jackson. Welcome back to Endeavours for the last day of January on Saturday. As always, if you just like to skip straight ahead to one endeavour that you're stuck on, you're just looking for that, or if you just want to skip things that you already know, just check the time codes and the timestamps below and in the description. Before I get into endeavours themselves, I just want to quickly go through the Gone Vendor. Normally I go through this at the end of the video, but just like last weekend, with the White Strikes event, you've just got all of the PvP based sets in jewelry form. Last weekend it was necklaces, this time it's rings. So you can check this. It's just going to take way too long for me to talk about every single set, so I'll just quickly recap on like the ones I think that are most important. So probably Rallying Cry is the top one you want to look at. Where is it? Rallying Cry. This one here. Rallying Cry it's like the most commonly used PvP set, and it has been for quite some time. The way it works is because you can use it on one bar, just use it on one weapon and like a bunch of jewelry or armor. It allows you to use another set on the front, which allows you to use a monster set and a one-piece trainee heavy, and a mythic. So it just allows you to use two 5-piece sets, one of the most effective setups for PvP, and Rallying Cry is one of the most easy to use sets to make that sort of thing work. Plague Break is really good. There's also Battalion Defender is surprisingly good, but I would use that on heavy armor usually. Same thing with Cyrodiil's Crest. This is arguably the most 0 IQ tanking set for trials and stuff, because when you have high health, it goes up to like 8,000 health. So you just get crazy amounts of healing just for blocking, essentially. Obviously, you don't want to be blocking all the time, and it does have a stamina recovery 2-piece, which is kind of wasted. But yeah, it is unbelievably easy to use for how, like, it's really good. So yeah, usually this is very expensive to get in heavy armor, so maybe using the jewelry in this case might be beneficial. Though there's a lot of alliance points that you need. Dark Convergence, pretty good. Could be interesting for PvE, especially when you want to do things like the dolmens or like public dungeons for killing lots of enemies quickly, because it just pulls everything in, it deals a bunch of damage to it. Yeah, there's a lot of other ones here, but like I said, it's just way too much to go through in a single video without it taking like fucking an hour. I've already done one long ass video yesterday, I don't want to do another one. Oh yeah, just Transmutation and Vicious Death. These two as well, really good. Transmutation, really good healing set. Vicious Death, if you kill an enemy, it like can chain reaction and kill a bunch of other people. So yeah, all that stuff there can be good to look at. But yeah, a lot of alliance points required, so maybe buying this stuff might be better. Just depends on what you got and what you like to do in your spare time. Alright, so Endeavours themselves. This set is a bit up in the air. If you've got Summerset as a DLC, it's very easy. If you don't, one of the options is going to be a bit painful. Battlegrounds with a Guildmate, I think, is the worst option. Battlegrounds themselves, because you can win or lose them and it works, it's not really, like, difficulty-wise, it's not that bad. It's just time. Sometimes queuing for a Battleground, and like especially waiting for a Guildmate to be on that you can do it with, who wants to do a Battleground, that will probably take a long time. And also, 4 cycle bosses takes quite a while. That will probably be like 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Depending on the verses, the verses and the visions that you get. And depending on if you can get a player or if you have companions. And companions are DLC related, unfortunately. So yeah, it's quite painful. And this is borderline DLC required. Like, you can get a player, but it's almost the same issue with this one. Like, finding a player that's going to be ready to do this is a bit of a pain. Yeah, if you got a companion, it's pretty easy. And if you've been on ESO Plus at any point, you'll have a companion likely, because anyone on ESO Plus, even if you end your subscription, you still keep Ten Lauren and Zereth Far as companions, so they count as partner for this. Yeah, without a doubt, these three are just so much easier. So if you have Summerset, just do this one instead. Jewelry crafting. If you want to do this one as low cost as possible, 4 pewter rings are what you want to make. It requires 8 pewter in total, which is a very, very small amount. Yeah, like I said though, you need Summerset as a chapter to be able to access this. You can also use this if you have ESO Plus. And if you don't have any pewter, you'll likely have to source some yourself through a guild store or through finding it yourself in the wild. I'll show you how that works. Alright, so accessing guild stores. Go into the menu, go down to materials, jewelry crafting, go material. Don't go raw because it's a bit more expensive. So getting a full stack of pewter will cost you a fair bit of gold. If you don't have enough for this, what I would advise you try and do first is bring up this website here. A link to this will be in the description if you want to take a look. But you can make an advanced search. Just put pewter in the description here. Just go pewter ounce, select that. Go down to amount, go anywhere between 1 and maybe 20. Just to drop down the price of it so you can buy some easier. And then go unit price. So at the moment it's about 9 gold on EU. So the price will likely fluctuate a bit depending on the server that you're on and like the console. If you want to check the price, you can also use price check here and just put the item in and it will tell you. So unit price anywhere between 0 and 10 should be fine. And then we can search here and it will list everything on every guild store on EU PC for me because I've set it up here. And yeah, you can see there's quite a few options here that you can buy. And this amount of gold is pretty easy to get, even if you have like no experience with gold earning or anything. I've put in the description a Endeavor prep video for earning a bit of gold, and all you really need is the ability to move around and press E and left click basically, and that's it. And it takes a few minutes to get this much gold. So naturally, I don't think this will be a problem, so long as you can get to places like this, like Wayrest, Stormhaven. That's pretty easy to get to. Same with Evermore. Some of these are DLC related though, just to be aware. But yeah, Alec is also a base game one. So you could likely find some stuff there doing that. And if that's not enough, maybe just bump up the price just a little bit. Alright, so the other method for getting some dust, which is what you use to craft jewelry with, is to find it in the wild. So I'll give you this image here. This is... Oh, hold on, let me take away Thieves' Throws. This is almost all of the locations in Craglorn that can have a jewelry seam. Now, the way these work is they spawn based on your level and your craft. So what I would advise you do, if you want pewter, which I think is the best one to use, you'll need a stack of 10. Refining in this game, when you get a amount of 10, you refine it into anywhere between 7 and 10 pewter ingot, or pewter ounce. Even if you get 7 and you can't craft 4 rings, just craft 3 and then deconstruct the rings, you'll probably get enough pewter from that. So usually 10 is enough. So that's about 3 or 4 nodes of this stuff here. It spawns based on your level. Sorry, I should have said that first. But what you want to do is just get a new character, because if you get a high level character, you might get something else like Platinum, which you might not be able to use. So yeah, my opinion, just grab a new character, bring them to Craglorn like this, and just look around for all these different nodes here. But just be aware, some of these nodes will be blacksmithing ores, like this rubidite, for example. It will look a bit different if you're low level, but sometimes these blacksmithing ores can also have jewelry dust. It's occasional, but it does happen. Only a little bit though. So yeah, that's the 2 ways I would suggest doing this to source yourself some of the material. You can use any zone for this. Just basically run in a straight line. Eventually, you'll find some stuff. But just maybe get a picture of Pewter on the web, just so you know what you're looking for. Because yeah, sometimes it can blend in with the surroundings if you don't know what you're specifically looking for. Also, if you're going to do this, do be aware that you might go past a Mundus Stone if you do this. I'm about to talk about that, but yeah, just be aware these are around all the base game zones like this. So you could get the Mundus Stone one done at the same time if you want. And also, you could do the Flame Atronachs one if you go like here, or if you go to Reaper's March where you find them down here. You can also find them in Vardenfell in various places, like over here. And there's also some over here. I think there's also some in Forgotten Waste too, places like that. Which also have blacksmithing ores all over the place. So yeah, you could do all this stuff at the same time if you want. Last thing to note is you can do jewelry crafting writs. I've got one here, for example. All it does is just ask you to make a couple of jewelry items, which progresses the endeavor anyway. These are good to do if you know how to do them, or if you can set them up, because you get some goodies, like you get upgraded materials for jewelry, which is good. You get surveys, which are also rad. That's a way to get some more like of the jewelry crafting materials whenever you need them. And yeah, you also get some other stuff. So, and they also count as quests for the sake of other endeavors, which tend to show up quite commonly. So there's a lot of good stuff that you can get with writs that I really do suggest doing these if you can. There's a lot of videos out there for explaining how writs work. I would advise taking a look at one of those videos just to learn how that works. Okay, now let's talk about Mundus Stones, such as this one here, the Lady Stone. So all you have to do to interact with the Mundus Stone is just go up to where it is located on the map, just use it and accept, and your character will just do a little animation and then it will change. I assume most people who played any game in the Elder Scrolls universe understands what Mundus Stones are, but that's how you get them in this game. Now there are websites that you can access that will show you all the Mundus Stone locations in the game. One I will link in the description is this one here. This is the one I use usually, well I used to use. It shows them all in each of the different zones. The only ones I would personally look at, though, is this one here, the Lady Stone, because regardless of any way shrine that you've unlocked in the game, this one's unlocked straight away, so you can travel here, go northwest, and it's really easy to reach from there. A lot of the other ones are either further away from a way shrine you've already got, or require you to travel somewhere from a way shrine, and naturally they're just a bit more of a pain to get to. But I'll go through some other ones in case you've already got them. Now do remember, when you use the Mundus Stone, you're going to replace the one you've currently got, which is probably not going to be the ones here that I'm about to talk about. Well, it'll be the last one, which is why I talk about that one. But Alikid Desert, you've got the ritual right here. So you travel to this way shrine, you can almost see it, you just look over here and it's down there. So that one's very quick to get to. It's just that you don't have anything around here once you start the game. To get here, I would use home tours. There's a video for how that stuff works in the description. Just use House of the Silent and Magnifico or Sisters of the Sands, and just use those to travel up here, go around the cliffside here, and just head over. Once you've got this way shrine, it's very quick to reach. The other one I would suggest looking at is just based on how common this Mundus Stone is used, the Thief over here in East March. The Thief is arguably the most common Mundus Stone to use in this game. It's used by like every PvE damage dealer in the game, essentially. Maybe barring like solo builds. So you can use this one to grab the Thief. Based on my experience with this game, this is the easiest one to get to once you unlock this way shrine, and it's pretty easy to get here for the first time because you've got Frostvault Chasm, which is a way shrine you can use. However, there is also another option, which is using Guildhalls, which in the long run is far more effective as a use case anytime this endeavor comes up, even if you have to use multiple Mundus Stones. So there are Guildhalls in this game that situate their Mundus Stones so they are easily accessible from close to the entrance of the Guildhall, which is what you want. So this is great because you can grab one Mundus Stone to complete the endeavor, and then instead of having to run to a different location, possibly in a different zone, to get the Mundus Stone that you had before, the one that you want to use, you can just walk 5 meters and get the other Mundus Stone that you wanted from here too. So you just waste less time that way. Now, in the description, I'll have for PC on EU and NA, I'll have a Guildhall that you can use through home tours. All you have to do is, whatever the @name is in that list, you go to Browse Homes and just put it in here. I'll have that in the description. I'm sorry I don't have any for the consoles. I don't know any at all. Like, I haven't played on console, so unfortunately I don't have any there. Yeah, if anyone knows any good Guildhalls for this purpose on console, preferably ones where the Mundus Stone is right next to the front door, yeah, I'd love to know if there's any that I can chuck in the description for other people's sake. Alright, so next up, let's look at Flame Atronachs. So there's a bunch of areas in the Overland that I usually use, but I want to go through my favourite location first, which is City of Ash. City of Ash 1. There's also heaps in City of Ash 2, but they're easier to kill and easier to get to in City of Ash 1. So the reason I use this over overland areas is just because the Flame Atronachs in overland areas, I find anytime the Endeavor comes up, they get swarmed with players, and you just... It just turns into a fucking whack-a-mole where you got to hit them really quick before they get killed by other people. So I like to use overland areas where you don't have to deal with that. The Atronachs won't be hurt by anyone. It's isolated from the rest of the world, so you can just jump in here and kill them whenever you feel like it. So as soon as you get into City of Ash 1, there's one Flame Atronach right here, located at this point down the bridge. Once you kill that one, just head down here. We take a fair bit of fall damage, but you should be fine. Head over to this flame here. You'll find another Flame Atronach. This flame is located right here. Just down the road, just over here, is another flame. This will also produce a Flame Atronach. And then this fight here, you pull these enemies and 2 Flame Atronachs will come out of these fires over here. Now my advice to you is attack them and then run away. What this will do is it'll pull every enemy together, and it means that you don't have to attack the Atronachs separately. You can just group them up in the middle and kill everything at once. It just saves you having to use all your stuff on like 3 different locations. Camera. Kill the Holskins if you can first, because they're the ones summoning those annoying fucking totems that all the enemies stand under. That group there, that's enough. You don't have to fight the Infernal Guardian if you don't want to. It's a long fight, and that's not a Flame Atronach. If you don't want to fight that big group, there is another Flame Atronach in that group. God, get around. In that flame just there, there's another Flame Atronach, but that spawns like 2 enemy groups to fight, so it's just a bit of pain. And then over here, this is the better place I think to go, is there's a group of Banekin here, just 3, and then there's a Flame Atronach that spawns from this group. So you kill them, and from this group you'll also get a Flame Atronach that spawns in this group. So there it is here. And yeah, that will be 5 as well if you need it. There's more Flame Atronachs further in the dungeon, but you only need 5, so I don't think you should have to go any further than that. I think it's just complicating things too much. But if you've never been to City of Ash 1 and you want to unlock this dungeon, it's pretty easy to get here, it's just a bit of a trek. You'll need to use Cliffshade here with home tours. Just leave the house and then travel up north through the roads here. Go up this way. There'll be some enemies here, but they're just regular skeletons and overland shit. Same over here, but you can just skip them by just staying left. And you just come up this way, and yeah, as soon as you unlock City of Ash like this, you can then travel to it from a way shrine whenever you feel like it on that character. And when you leave from that way shrine, when you leave the dungeon, it takes you back to that way shrine, so it's also handy to just get back from. I'll just go through some other good locations in Overland though if you don't want to deal with that shit, because they are a little tougher. Though that being said, the ones in Craglorn are also quite tough. If you want to get the Mundus Stone and the other stuff at the same time, like the Jury Dust, it's understandable. Okay, location 1 is in Spellscar and Craglorn. Holy shit, it's a big mob. So yeah, you can see a couple here. It's only on this sort of southeast side. My advice is to come at this from this way shrine here when you unlock it, because if you come at it from this side, you either have to go around here, which is a bit painful because there's enemies in the way, or this way here just leads to fucking nowhere. So yeah, just come over here. Use home tours again to get here. Just use Eleanor Private Arena. Just come up this way, get to Belkarth, come up here and unlock this way shrine, and then you've got easy access to this area from that point. Yeah, the flame at... Oh god, lag. Holy shit, what's going on? The flame atros here are pretty tough. They have about 60k health, but there tends to be a lot of people here, so they die very quickly, so just keep that in mind. That's, yes, it's like I said, whack-a-mole. Another good location for Flame Atronachs is in Cold Harbour. This is Library of Dusk, just west of the Hollow City. This area here has a fair few of the Cold Harbor, Cold Flame variants. There's other enemies here, but yeah, you'll see a bunch of these things littered around the place. I find there's a bunch of other places that you can find them. For example, Reaper's March, Willow Grove here. This is another good place, but I find this place is just so busy with players compared to some of the other options like this one here. I find this one is used less. So yeah, your mileage might vary there, but I find this to be more effective as a source of flame Atronachs usually. You've also got places in Vardenfell. There's also one more in Cold Harbor over here. Village of the Lost does have quite a few flame Atronachs in it too, but whether they'll be available to you to kill is another thing. Because yeah, there's only a few in there. There's also in Vardenfell, you've got around the crafting area in Zergonopol. You've got a bunch of flame Atronachs here. I think there's about 6. There's like 4 flame Atronachs around here as well, near Aldrin. And around some of the Daedric ruins, like over here and over here, you've also got flame Atronachs that spawn there as well. I think they also spawn over here, but I can't remember. Also Forgotten Waste as well. If you want to get around this area here, it's quicker to use home tours and grab Kushalit Sanctuary and just travel there and leave. So yeah, you can use that as well. That really shortens the amount of time you need to spend, because otherwise you have to go from Seda Neen. It's like a long ass trek over here. It's like literally like a 15 or 20 minute trip. Okay, so now let's look at cycle bosses. So partner, this includes players and companions. If you don't have any DLC or companions at all, you won't be able to do the jewelry crafting one, so you'll have to do this if you want all 3 today. Personally, I would just skip this because it just takes way too long for fucking 15 seals worth of effort. But yeah, maybe if you like Infinite Archive, that's fine. Just go to Group Finder, Infinite Archive, and just check if anyone's trying to do the Endeavor here. If not, just create one saying that you want to do the Endeavor. Now, if you do want to go all the way, I would suggest going further and just completing the Thoat fight. There's a lot of guides out there for how to fight Thoat. I suggest looking some of those up, but it goes 2 stages a cycle, and that repeats 4 times, and then it goes 2 stages, and then you get the arc with Thoat, and then that completes the quest which you can get here. So I'd advise you just do that. Otherwise, it's like 10 minutes of extra work for a lot more reward, basically. Yeah, I'm not going to go through it because I just feel like there's enough information out there. If people want that sort of thing, just let me know though. So, companions versus players. What's the difference? Companions are much dumber most of the time, and they're just more convenient. Naturally, that's the only thing about them. My advice here, because it's only the first arc, you don't really need to go nuts with a companion. I would advise just getting a companion with a lot of damage stuff. Full medium armor. Get aggressive if you can, because that will probably do the most damage for you. But aggressive stuff is expensive, so have I got any... doesn't even have a price. Okay. Yeah, so each one's like a couple of grand at least on blue. Don't even bother with purple. But yeah, I as far as I'm aware, aggressive is best for damage. But if you can't get aggressive, just go like try and get shattering or focused, or prolific if you have companions full leveled, or just quickened if you can. But yeah, don't worry too much about that. Long as it's medium armor, because medium armor naturally gives you more damage done. But yeah, just understand these companions, they will stand in AoEs all the fucking time, and there's nothing you can really do about it unless you hold... you can hold the Y key and right click, and it puts them into passive mode, and they'll just follow you. And then if you heavy attack an enemy, it causes them to engage enemies. So you can use that to move them around a bit if you just see them standing in the middle of an AoE and you don't want them to. But just expect them to just stand in shit. In the first arc though, it's probably not going to matter, because they probably won't take enough damage, especially if they're like high enough level. Players though, they'll usually be fine. And as far as I'm aware, the damage doesn't adjust depending on if you've got a player or a companion, or if you're on your own. So naturally it's just going to be easier regardless of if you have a companion or not, or a player, you know. Last thing, this thing here is quite valuable. So say you get a cycle boss that you hate, that you just cannot fucking deal with because they are obnoxious. Like some examples I've had in the past, the Celestial Warrior is obnoxious as fuck in the early stages, or in the early cycles, because the more damage you do, the worse that, like the harder that fight gets, essentially, and it's hard not to do a lot of damage to that guy. There's a dragon that, I don't know if they changed it, I doubt they have, but it does like a drive-by dragon breath over you when it's in the air, so it's impossible to hit, and it goes through with a drive-by and it deals fucking shit tons of damage. Like it one-shot me every time I tried to fight it. And you only get a certain amount of lives, right? So you have to basically accept the fact that you might get a cycle boss that it's just bullshit, and you'll waste your time and just end up resetting the place anyway. If you want to just skip that shit, you can just reset the whole place using this reset hourglass here. So you hit this, it kicks you out, and then you come back in here and it will start from the beginning. And yes, that will mean you have to do more stages, but it will mean you get some easier cycles with some other bosses that will potentially be different. Now, I'm not going to show you a full run here, because the run that you have is going to be completely different to mine. I just want to show you the most important parts. So firstly, we'll just enter through here. This is how you start the fight. So when you enter here, you'll see this black circle. This is how you begin your archive run. So this index here is how you get out. So if you don't want to fight just yet, if you want to get some stuff, just go through the index here and it takes you back to the foyer. And when you want to leave, this is how you get through it as well. You can't just... I mean, you can travel to your house or something, but this is just the natural way. Okay, stages. So you get 2 stages at first. Each one, it'll summon a bunch of regular enemies like this. There will always be a ranged enemy like this. I suggest sticking to them first, because when you put AoEs on the ground, it's going to hit all the enemies, because the melee ones will just start following you. So you can see Ember is actually set to docile because I held Y and right click. If I just heavy attack one of these guys, she'll start attacking this one over here. You can see that. So enemies naturally have some special effects, or special abilities that you want to keep in mind. The hags, for example, have a reflect ability. When they have the weird stinky bubble around them, they reflect attacks back at you. Only ranged ones. These Ascendant Vanguards, if you let them get their channel through, they take like no damage. These big dudes here, the Ascendant Bulwarks, when they glow red like this, if you hit them with a direct attack, they will eventually reflect an attack back to you. If you see a expanding circle at your feet, start blocking. And that's basically all you need to worry about with them. Every 3rd stage, the final part, will have well, most of them will have one of those big enemies like that. And they are tankier, they do a bit more damage. Naturally though, I tend to focus on the little enemies, because you saw that Ascended Vanguard ended up getting his channel off. He got like the Boundless Storm thing, and he started taking no damage. And the other mage in the background, they put like a tether on me, and it slowed me down and started dealing a lot of damage. So naturally, most of the little enemies will probably be better for you to focus, but it depends. Some of the big enemies are obnoxious as hell, and you want to kill them first. Okay, whenever you complete a stage, you get a verse. These verses are basically power-ups that will last until the next stage, cycle, or arc is done. Some of these are fucking powerful. This one here, for example, really, really strong. Some of them are probably not going to be useful to you in any way. As an example here, when you die, you get a bunch of effect. This is probably not going to happen in an early stage. Who knows, so... but yeah, anytime you can, try and get offensive ones that do a lot of damage. Some of the offensive ones are shit. Some of them can be situationally terrible or situationally great. For example, there's one that increases the damage of world skills. If you're a werewolf, it's very powerful because werewolf is basically just all world skills. But if for example, you are just a regular damage dealer who uses like no werewolf stuff or vampirism or anything, it's very shit. Like you'll increase the damage of like soul trap or wield soul if you use that, and that's basically it. Hit the ranged enemy in the back, usually they're the most important to hit. Yeah, Swift Gale, incredibly powerful, that's why. And that's why you want to use offensive verses, because yeah, they're so powerful. Okay, now that we fight a boss that's not really getting any good verses, okay, I guess we get a tank. So yeah, I can use a synergy and basically get a thing that takes aggro. So there's a lot of different verses that do different stuff. Wouldn't worry too much about them in the early stages or early arcs, because they don't really... Yeah, they're only going to last one round, so Okay, so we're up to a cycle now. So these are the things that you have to do to progress the endeavor. So it's just a boss. That's all it is. The bosses can be from various bits of content. This might be a spoiler. You might be familiar with this one from a specific zone. Companions with good damage capabilities will make these much better, because the quicker they die, the easier it is, basically. There you go, that's one. So, completing these cycles will give you a muniment chest. These give you archival fortunes, which is what you use to spend stuff on the various goodies that you can get from the merchants in Infinite Archive. You also get a random item that comes from any of the various zones in Overland. Unfortunately, you don't get dungeon or trial stuff, though I think that's fair enough. You can get things like Mother's Sorrow or Venomous Smite stuff, even if you don't own the DLCs, which is nice. I don't know if you need the DLCs to actually get them. I'm not certain on that. But hopefully that's the case, because you can just buy them. I don't see the point in firing that off. Okay, so every time you complete a cycle, you get a vision. Visions are like verses, except they're usually, emphasis on usually, worse than verses, but they last the whole time. So these ones you want to think about more than the other ones. Again, some of these can be really strong, some of these can be absolutely fucking useless. Like, magic taken reduced, you're not really going to be taking a whole lot of magic damage in here. Like, it's just one damage type of, like, 8. Whereas if you get ones that increase, like, magic damage done, which is something they use a lot in this build, but if I was a stamina build, for example, I wouldn't get much magic damage, so, yeah, you can see what I mean. You can get this one, though, which increases CC duration, which is pretty good. So I'd probably just use this one, because it indirectly does increase your damage done, because you're spending less time stunned, I suppose. So now we go through this Archival Wings portal. This will take us to the next stage. And the cycle repeats, literally, except the stuff that you fight will be different. So, yeah, once you get through 4 cycles of basically that, then you get to 2 more stages, and then Zawat, and then you can hand the quest in by going through the index here. And then you just hand it in to this guy here, and that'll be it. And yeah, if you get something that you don't want to fight, just use the hourglass to reset the place. And I suppose if you have a guildmate that you're doing this with, you could queue for a battleground where you do this, but those, like I said, they're going to be the slowest option, so I wouldn't really recommend that. Okay, I think that's enough information for today, but if you have any issues with stuff going on in the Infinite Archive, if there's a boss that you just don't understand the mechanics, you can chuck a comment in. I don't know how quick I'll get back to you. I should get back pretty quick, though. I do keep an eye on this stuff. But I'll leave it there for now. So thank you everyone for watching. I do appreciate your support as always. I'll see you all next time, and enjoy your weekend.